The year is 161 AD. Rome is the greatest empire the world has ever seen. And Marcus Aurelius has just been named its emperor. He controls 30 million people. He commands the largest army on earth. Every law, every war, every life runs through him. And yet, that very same night, alone in his private tent, in a journal he never planned for anyone to read, he writes this: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Why would the most powerful man alive need to remind himself of that? Because even Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the known world, woke up every single morning fighting the same invisible war you and I fight. The war against the noise of what the Senate thought of his decisions, what Rome expected him to be, what enemies whispered behind his back, what history would say about him. He held the world in his hands and still lost sleep over people's opinions. Think about that for a moment. This is not weakness. This is not a flaw unique to you or to him. This is the oldest war in human history, and for most people, it never ends. But Marcus Aurelius found a way out, not by becoming cold, not by becoming indifferent to the world, but by understanding something so simple, so precise, so devastating, that once you truly grasp it, the opinions of others lose their grip on you forever. That is what this video is about. Not tips, not just stop caring, because that is useless, and you already know it. This is about understanding the root, why you care, what it costs you, and what the Stoics discovered 2,000 years ago that still, today, is the most powerful answer we have. Stay with me. Part 1. The cage you built. Let's start with a question nobody asks. When was the last time you made a decision, a real one, without thinking about what someone else might say? What to wear, what to post, what career to choose, who to love, what to believe. For most people, almost every choice passes through an invisible filter. What will they think? And here is the brutal truth the Stoics identified 2,000 years ago, that modern psychology is only now beginning to confirm. You were not born this way. This fear was installed in you, and it was installed for a reason. For hundreds of thousands of years, human beings survived in small tribes. Being cast out from the group meant death, starvation, predators, isolation. So your brain evolved a powerful alarm system. Care deeply about what others think. Conform. Belong. Because belonging kept you alive. That system worked perfectly in a world where the group's opinion was life or death. But you do not live in that world anymore. You live in a world where the person whose opinion is destroying your sleep has no real power over your survival. They cannot exile you from the tribe. They cannot end your life. And yet, the alarm still fires. Every time someone criticizes you. Every time you imagine judgment. Every time you hesitate before speaking because of what they might think. The cage is ancient, but you are the one keeping the door closed. Epictetus understood this. A man who was born a slave, who had no freedom, no rights, no control over his own body, wrote something that should stop you in your tracks. No man is free who is not master of himself. He was a slave saying that. Think about what that means. Physical chains did not make him unfree. The opinions of his masters did not make him unfree. Only the acceptance of those chains inside his own mind could do that. And that is the first thing you need to understand. The cage you are in was built from the inside. Part 2. The Dichotomy. The entire Stoic philosophy rests on one idea. One distinction so simple it sounds almost too obvious, until you actually apply it to your life. There are things within your control, and things outside your control. That is it. That is the whole framework. Epictetus called this the Dichotomy of Control, and he opens his Enchiridion with these exact words. Some things are in our control, and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion. Things not in our control are body, reputation, command. Read that again. Slowly. Reputation is not in your control. Not partially. Not mostly. Not with enough effort. Completely, fundamentally, structurally outside your control. Because reputation lives in other people's minds, and you cannot enter another person's mind. And here is where most people spend most of their energy, trying to manage, control, influence, and shape the one thing they have zero actual power over. Marcus Aurelius spent years dealing with senators who despised him, generals who questioned his strategy, citizens who called him weak. He could not control any of that. What he could control was this: his response, his character, his decisions, the quality of his work, the integrity of his actions. And so he wrote, again and again in his meditations. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Not convince them you are good. Not make them see it. Not defend yourself until they agree. Be one. That is the whole answer. Because the moment you shift your energy from what they think to who you actually are, everything changes. You stop performing. You start living. Part 3, Memento Mori. Now, I want to give you the most powerful perspective the Stoics ever used. It is called Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. Not as a morbid thought, not as pessimism, as clarity. Consider this. Every single person who is judging you right now will also die. The colleague who rolled their eyes, the family member who criticized your choices, the stranger on the internet who wrote something cruel. All of them gone within 100 years, likely within 50, and their opinion of you will die with them. It will leave no mark on the universe. It will change nothing about the stars. It will matter to absolutely no one. Marcus Aurelius puts it with his usual ruthlessness. How many of Fabius, Scipio, Cato has time swallowed up? They strained so hard, did so much, and now where are they? These were the most famous, most respected, most powerful people of his era. Gone, as if they never existed. Now, think about the person whose opinion is consuming your energy today. Is this worth your finite, irreplaceable time on Earth? Because that is why we're spending, not just mental energy, time. The one currency that cannot be earned back. Seneca writes, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it." What are you using yours for? Part 4. The 3 practices, 9:30 to 12:30. Philosophy without practice is just entertainment. So here are 3 concrete practices the Stoics used that you can start today. Practice 1, the evening tribunal. Every evening, Seneca would review his day, not for productivity, for character. He would ask himself 3 questions. Where did I act out of fear of judgment rather than from my own values? Where did I perform instead of simply being? And if I had done the opposite, what would I have actually lost? Most of the time, the honest answer is nothing. Nothing real, nothing lasting, nothing that actually matters. Practice 2, the philosopher's lens. The next time someone's opinion disturbs you, stop and ask one question. Is this person someone I genuinely admire and respect? If yes, Their feedback is valuable. Take it seriously. If no, then why are you handing them authority over your inner world? Marcus Aurelius writes, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect." Filter your inputs. Not everyone who speaks deserves to be heard in the room of your mind. Practice. 3 pas et trois. Act first. Observe after. Pick one thing you have been avoiding because of what someone might think. One conversation. One creative project. One decision. One truth you have not said out loud. Do it. Not because you have conquered the fear, but because you are choosing to act from your values instead of from their potential reaction. Epictetus said it plainly. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Decide who you are. Then act from that place. Not for them, for you. Marcus Aurelius died in 180 AD on a military campaign on the banks of the Danube. He never stopped fighting the war he wrote about in his journal. He never fully silenced the noise. But he chose every single day to return to what he could control: his mind, his character, his actions. And in doing so, he became, across 2,000 years of history, one of the most respected human beings who ever lived. Not because he managed people's opinions, because he stopped trying to. That is what is available to you, not perfection. Not the permanent silence of the fear, but the daily choice to act from your values rather than their expectations. The last opinion that matters is the one you hold of yourself. If this reached something in you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more of this, and leave a comment. What is the one opinion you have been giving too much power to? This is StoicEdge, ancient wisdom for modern life.